So making the switch to secondary, what's that process been like for you, and have you enjoyed it so far?
Yeah, of course I enjoy. I enjoy any time I get to coach ball, man. I'm not one dimensional. I'm a ball coach, but the transition has been good. Obviously, there's newer things of kind of switching the mindset a little bit, but once you get back in the hang of the defense and how things operate, being in different positions has played an advantage for me.
Kind of getting the elephant out of the room. What's the safety room kind of look like post Jack Conant?
I mean, we wish Jack Conant the best, you know what I mean? And we're just going to keep moving forward. Guys get more reps. Guys that have to develop a lot faster, and those reps that they've been wanting, they're getting now. So the show must go on, man. Like I said, we wish them the best, and we just want to keep developing the guys we have here.
What do you kind of make of Trey Glasper's spring so far, and the other early enrollees in that group?
They catch on fast, and they catch on from being thrown in the fire. That's how it's always been here. So we always eat our young. So he's been thrown in the fire and he's held his own. That's why he came here, though. So talking to him and Zeph and Walker, those guys aren't here to just kind of be here. You know what I mean? You're here to get ahead. That's what you chose to do, to forego some high school things and to come out here and start developing.
Last I had spoke to you, it was just ahead of the AFCA, the 35 under 35. I just kind of wanted to pick your brain about that. What was kind of the biggest takeaway from that week, and anything new to add to the arsenal that you picked up on there?
Yeah, it's just the development piece. That's what I'm big on. So we talk about developing our players. I have to develop myself. So it was just great to hear from a lot of different head coaches, different agency panels, financial advisors, just things like that, to not only develop my coaching but my lifestyle off the field. So it was a great experience. Things that I can take away to better my team here and pass on to the next young coach.
A guy like Jaheim coming into spring in a different place on the roster than maybe a year ago. How have you seen his development and growth on the field?
Well, one, he just had to speed it up. He's a senior now, so his urgency has to click. But we always knew Jaheim had the talent. It's just getting him to understand and get his mindset to match his skill set is ultimately what we want to get out of him. But put him in those situations, getting him around the Tyrese Ivies and the Skylar Thomases every day, force him to speed up his development as well. So if he wants a shot at this thing to take care of his family in the future, he's going to have to catch on really fast.
We saw Marion kind of playing some of that nickel role today. That wasn't something he did a ton of last year, but kind of what's that transition like? What do you kind of look for skill set wise for guys in that role?
Yeah, I just think that's how we recruit. That's how we've always recruited here. We don't recruit corners, safeties, or nickels. We recruit defensive backs. And Amarion has a skill set to play all three in the back end. So just moving those guys around so that way they have a role. And when those guys feel like they have a role, they want to be here, and we'll use them down the stretch. So. With guys leaving here, you know what I mean, we want to be able to move those guys around and give them an opportunity to go out there and play, and that way we can make them versatile for the next level as well.
It seems like one of the things Coach Bray did in the offseason was to structure the defensive staff to break the groups down a little smaller, a little more detailed. Did that on the line and the edges and with you and Coach Chance. How do you and Coach Chance work together and divvy things up, and how do you think that helps the secondary?
I think it just gives the players more attention. You know what I mean? Having two voices in the room, more detail on the install, being able to go out there and work multiple things where we kind of work a two-man circuit, as far as working skill sets and things like that. So I think Coach Bray did a great job of boosting up the staff with the veterans to kind of counter the young coaches that we have. So it's a great combination. That way we give our players more attention. They're always in the building. Somebody's always here for them. And I think it's already paid dividends.
You've obviously worked with secondary in the past, kind of going back to them. Did that time with the linebackers, new perspective, see things a little differently after having done that?
Absolutely. It's just not a bird's eye view, you know what I mean, and seeing the whole picture and explaining to these guys how the defense works. Because it's not going to be called this name in a pro defense, you know what I mean? So being able to teach them, and that way we can develop them and understand the game of football. Because these guys may have to play other positions, or just understand it so that way they can go out there and make more plays, have a better diagnosis of pre-snap reads and things like that can help them create more plays for the Beavs.
When you kind of looking at that top-down approach, what's kind of been the biggest change you've seen in this defensive group as opposed to last year's?
Just the sound, being sound as a defense. Obviously with Coach Bray coming back and having more of an understanding of it, I think these guys are more dialed into how the defense operates and the moving pieces So being top down, just seeing the whole picture with these guys, being able to explain why we do things and how they're supposed to be executed to make it ours ultimately.
You were talking about you don't recruit corners or nickels or safeties, just defensive backs. How does that work with a guy like Cy, who got a lot of run last year at that nickel spot, may or may not primarily be a nickel this year with Noble back? Where does he fit in with that experience?
First of all, Cy Vagerale is probably one of the most dynamic and athletic guys we have in this room. He has the ability to be as good as he wants to be. He has the ability to go outside and play a fast corner if we need it, or a shifty guy. He can play in the slot. And he got thrown in the fire last year as a freshman and kind of got beat up a little bit, but it'll be good for him to kind of heal those wounds and go out there and be able to execute. I can move him back to safety if I wanted to, because he understands how the defense operates. So, like I said, being able to put those guys in different positions plays advantages for the Beavers, and they have to understand that as we talk in the room. So when you talk about having multiple coaches in the room, there's also multiple positions in the room. So those guys have to have an open ear when we're coaching the other guys as to what they're supposed to do if they get thrown in another position.
Kind of with Jaleel Tucker, obviously, he's had a number of stops, but it kind of seems like this will be one of the last if everything goes according. What have you kind of seen out of him, and what's kind of the missing piece been for him that you guys think he can unlock this season?
Yeah, I think he just brings a lot of speed. You know what I mean? And obviously, the journey that he's gone on after his first stop. He brings that too. A lot of life veteranism that he can bring to these younger guys. I think he's happy here. He's handling the things off the field that he needs to so he can focus on the field. But he just brings another dynamic piece to the secondary that, is unique. So if we need him to match up on somebody, we have that tool as well. So we look at the room as a big toolbox, and the deeper we can go into that, the better we'll be.
Is there somebody this spring that's jumped out at you with the way, maybe the progress they made this spring?
I think Tyrese Ivey has made great strides. He got his junior college year back, and he's taken full advantage of it. I think he's been really locked in. Jaheim Patterson, the same thing. I think he's showing up really well. Skylar continues to get better. But I think they've all taken a step where we needed them, and they understand now it's their opportunity to go out there and play with guys leaving and guys graduating, that this is the opportunity. So we don't waste opportunities. Other people end up taking them. So I think they all have improved, but Tyrese Ivey has come in every day and handled his business like a pro, and I think it's starting to spread amongst the room along with Skylar Thomas.
Anything else? Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.